This week's topic comes from Mitch, who wanted to know how to be eager to learn. So I pondered that and thought before I could learn, I needed to stop thinking I was right. That was rough, which means this week's topic is about shifting from being right to eager to learn. In the previous video, I talked about how I got through feeling less right. In this video, I'll talk about how I shifted from feeling less right to being willing to learn. In the next video, I'm focusing on a time when I know I was eager to learn. And in the next video, we'll be meditating together. And in the Friday Ditty, which will be the last video this week, the Fridity, I'll bring it all together, getting a little more poetic and a little more nerdy to make sense of the journey. All the videos will appear in the playlist from Being Right to Eager to Learn. So, if you have a question like Mitch did, comment below or DM me on Instagram. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. Today, I'm starting with the question, when was a time you shifted from being right to willing to learn? Well, I think I'm going to use the podcast. Well, no. I have, oh wow, this is actually a really cool experience. So I had gotten a book, and when I first started, I think it was Emotions, How Emotions Are Made. I think it's by Lisa Feldman Barrett, and I got it and I started reading it and I was like, yuck, I didn't like it. It didn't feel right. And so I put it down and I quit reading it for a little bit because some of the ideas to me were very, very uncomfortable and I wasn't ready. So I had finished reading all of my other books and I thought, oh, okay, well, I guess I better read this one. And I'm going to read it because it's my book now. I bought it, and if I bought it, then I'm going to read it because that's just how I am. So I started reading it, and again, I was still really uncomfortable with some of the concepts and ideas. And it was hard to read because of that, right? Because the thing is, things happen in the brain when ideas are challenged, and it really does physically feel uncomfortable. So how did I know I was starting to find a willingness to learn? I had that feeling, and I continued. I continued investigating, what is it about this that I don't want to know? And, well, hopefully I'll get into what I learned a little bit later in the podcast, but why was it important to feel this willingness to learn? I think that feeling it and continuing on and acknowledging that feeling and go, okay, let's keep going. This is uncomfortable. I'm not sure if I like these ideas or if they even make sense, but they were starting to make sense to me. And I thought, okay, it's important to me that I learn things and I have an open mind. And because I had that sense already, it was important for me to keep reading the book. So I think I had to have some ideas about who I was and what that meant for me to keep challenging myself. So I think it started with this idea of, I'm gonna be one of those people that challenges my ideas. And why was it important to me to do that? I think, again, it had to do with how I viewed myself. Did I want to be one of those people that thought they were right all the time, or did I want to engage in thought-provoking conversations and put myself in situations where my ideas could be challenged? And I think at my deepest core, I thought that was really cool. I want to challenge the ideas that I have and see if they make sense. Maybe what if they don't make sense, but these are the stories that I'm telling myself, or maybe there's a different, better way. Having that willingness I wanted that. But in order to get there, I had to be willing to be uncomfortable. How did you shift from being right to being willing to learn? Hesitantly. I think that being right was super comfortable because then I didn't have to question my reality. But what happened inadvertently was I was questioning the realities of the people around me. So what effort or time did you put in to shift from being right to being willing to learn? A lot. I still have to put effort in because it is, we've talked throughout this podcast about living in predictable worlds and things like that. And I think being right, if I'm going to live in a predictable world, then it's going to be important to be right. But the reality of it is we live in an unpredictable world or an unexpected world where I can't be certain of exactly what's going to happen in the next moment. Now, with looking back, I can think I predicted it. For instance, one of the things that I said to my sister a long time ago was that I think she said to me, hindsight's 20/20. And I looked at her and I was like, no, hindsight's confirmation bias, because when I look back and things went well, or in this moment, I am in something that I like and enjoy. When I look back, I'm only going to look to what I think got me there. The reality of it is there's so many other unknowns or things that I'm not even thinking about, but I want to validate that story in that moment. So I have to remember, hey, I've got to be willing to learn. Maybe I'm wrong. So it takes a lot of effort. So what did you overcome to find the willingness to learn? I had to overcome being right. Like, how do you do that? Because I think for a long time, it's like I needed to be right to have any value. And where was my value if I couldn't be right? If I didn't have the answers, if I hadn't done the research, if I hadn't taken all the steps, like, ooh, that was rough, What inspired me to do this? I think knowing, like, at the very who I want to be, and is being right coming from a place of love, and sometimes it is really. I actually, you know what? Most times where I was right or certain I was right for someone else, like not right in a relationship, but certain that I had the right idea of what they should or should have done, that I really was trying to come from a place of love. And what I learned was that wasn't helping in my relationship. So I think what really inspired me, that's really interesting. What really inspired me was the desire for connection and for community, that I didn't need to be right in all of these places. So how does being willing to learn help those around me? I think that it helps those around me because they know that I see them for who they are and I value them. And because I value them, I don't have to be right. And I know this because I have much better relationships in now than I did before, because I don't have to be right. The next question is, what does it say about me? Or what does it say about you? What does it say about you that you are willing to learn? I think that I think I need to separate this. If I saw this in someone else, what does it say about someone who's willing to learn? I think it says that they're open, that they're creative, and that they're willing to have fun. So if I can apply that to them and I'm willing to do the same thing, then I think those things probably apply to me. And I'm wondering if I can own those. And I can totally, yes, I'm willing to have fun. I'm willing to learn. Yeah, all of those things. What do you need to see to know your willingness to learn impacted those around you? I think I needed to see that my relationships were getting better. and that they were having more fun with me because they also didn't have to have the right answer, and they didn't have to, like, be perfect around me. And I think that's really important. I don't think I really thought about it that deeply before, but that my being right actually negatively impacted those relationships with the people around me, in that if I was right, then they couldn't be who 100% who they are, and they might not be able to see their value. So that's a pretty big epiphany to think about. What signs do you look for to know you're willing to learn? I think I look for that uncomfortableness and openness, and that my ideas are being challenged, and I'm not, I think, like, and I can ponder them. So the signs, I think, actually would be that uncomfortableness and that willingness to be wrong. And I'm going to use those skills. And I think also getting feedback from the people around me, if they so choose to give it to me in a loving way. What does it mean you can do in the future when you're willing to learn? Well, it means I can be uncomfortable, and I can definitely learn new things, and that the world doesn't have to stay static the way it is, at least the way it is in my mind, because I think we all have different experiences and different stories that we tell ourselves about what the world looks like and how the world should or should not be. And that means that world can get turned upside down, and I'll be okay, which is really cool. I would love to hear from you. When have you found a willingness to learn? How did you do that? What was your experience? Please DM me on Instagram or put a note in the comments. These videos will be located in the playlist From Being Right to Eager to Learn. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.